Do this every day and see avoidant love change. You wake up every morning with a choice: repeat the same patterns or break free. Most people live on autopilot. They crave love but run from it. They desire connection but build walls. And then they wonder, why does love always feel so distant? I'll tell you why. It's because you're stuck in a cycle of fear. You're avoiding the very thing you crave: deep, real, vulnerable love. But listen to me. Avoidance is not your identity. It's a pattern, and patterns can be broken. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for certainty in love. They want a guarantee before they take the leap. They want to know they won't get hurt, that the person they love won't leave, that the relationship will work out exactly as planned. But here's the truth. Love doesn't work that way. Love is unpredictable. Love is messy. Love is raw, vulnerable, and full of unknowns. And that terrifies people, especially those who have experienced pain, abandonment, or rejection in the past. Avoidant love patterns are born from this fear. The fear of being hurt, of being exposed, of getting too close, and then losing everything. So what happens? People build walls. They create distance. They tell themselves they're better off alone, that love is too complicated, that they don't need it. But deep down, they crave connection. Deep down, they want to feel seen, understood, and deeply loved. The problem isn't love itself. The problem is the belief that love should always feel safe. But here's the thing, nothing meaningful in life comes without risk. If you want an extraordinary career, you take risks. If you want financial success, you take risks. If you want deep, powerful, life-changing love, you have to be willing to take risks there too. The problem is most people don't see love this way. They think love is supposed to be effortless, that it should always feel good, that the moment it feels uncomfortable, something is wrong. That's why avoidants run. That's why they push people away, because love feels uncertain and they don't know how to sit with that. But love isn't about certainty. Love is about choice. It's about showing up day after day, even when it's uncomfortable. It's about understanding that real love is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward despite it. Most people believe they need to feel safe in love before they commit, before they let someone in. But the truth is, safety in love is something you create over time. It doesn't come from running. It doesn't come from avoiding. It comes from learning to stay, to communicate, to trust, even when your mind is telling you to pull away. So what does this look like in real life? It looks like recognizing when you're shutting down and choosing to stay present instead. It looks like noticing when you're withdrawing and making a conscious effort to reconnect. It looks like acknowledging your fears, but not letting them control your actions. Because every time you lean into love, instead of running from it, you rewire your brain. You teach yourself a new pattern. You prove to yourself that love isn't about never feeling afraid. It's about realizing that fear doesn't have to control you. This is how you transform avoidant love, not by waiting until it feels safe, but by recognizing that love is worth the risk, by understanding that deep, fulfilling relationships aren't built on perfection or guarantees. They're built on the willingness to stay open, to be vulnerable, to take the leap even when you're scared. Every time you choose love over avoidance, you grow. Every time you lean in instead of shutting down, you build the kind of connection you truly crave. Because love isn't safe, but it is absolutely, undeniably, 100% worth it. Every day express something real. Most people hold back in relationships. They filter their words, suppress their emotions, and keep their deepest thoughts to themselves. Why? Because they're afraid. Afraid of saying too much, afraid of looking needy, afraid of being rejected. So instead of expressing what's real, they stay silent. They pretend they don't care as much as they do. They play it cool. They wait for the other person to open up first. But in doing this, they rob themselves of the very thing they want most: deep, authentic connection. Avoidant tendencies thrive in silence. The less you say, the safer you feel. The more you keep things inside, the less vulnerable you are. It's a defense mechanism, a way to protect yourself from potential pain. But what it actually does is create distance. Emotional walls don't just keep pain out, they keep love out too. And if you're always guarding yourself, you never give love a chance to fully develop. You never allow someone to truly see you. You never experience the depth of connection that comes from honesty. Real love requires expression. It requires communication, honesty, and the willingness to be seen, even when it's uncomfortable. It's not about saying everything that crosses your mind. It's about being intentional with your words and allowing yourself to share something real every day. It can be small, it can be simple, but it has to be real. Maybe it's telling your partner you appreciate them instead of assuming they already know. Maybe it's admitting that something they did hurt you instead of pretending you're fine. Maybe it's reaching out first instead of waiting for them to make a move. Maybe it's telling them how much they mean to you, even if the words feel foreign in your mouth. These small acts of expression, repeated daily, are what build intimacy. They are what create trust. They are what make love feel safe. Not the absence of risk, but the presence of consistent, open-hearted communication. Avoidant individuals often struggle with this because they've spent so much time suppressing their emotions that they don't even know where to start. But here's the truth. Expressing yourself is a muscle, and like any muscle, it gets stronger the more you use it. At first, it may feel unnatural, it may feel scary, you may even feel resistance to it, but if you commit to expressing something real every day, just one thing, you will start to notice a shift. You will feel more connected, you will feel more present, and you will see that love isn't as terrifying as you once thought. The key is consistency. You can't just do it once and expect everything to change. You have to make it a habit. You have to commit to speaking your truth, even in the smallest ways, every single day. Over time, this creates a new pattern. It rewires your brain to associate communication with connection instead of fear. It helps you build the emotional muscles that make love sustainable. The irony is that most people fear expressing themselves because they think it will push the other person away. But the opposite is true. Expression is what brings people closer. It's what makes relationships last. It's what turns surface-level attraction into something real, something deep, something that stands the test of time. Because love isn't built on guessing games. It's built on truth. And the more you express your truth, the more love you allow into your life. Most people don't realize that the story they tell themselves about love is shaping their entire experience of it. If you believe you're bad at relationships, that belief will dictate your actions. If you tell yourself that people always leave, you'll subconsciously push them away before they get the chance. If you think love is dangerous, you'll avoid it even when it's right in front of you. These stories aren't just thoughts. They are the lens through which you experience love. And until you change them, your patterns will stay the same. Avoidant tendencies don't come out of nowhere. They are learned responses often developed from past experiences, maybe from childhood, maybe from past relationships, maybe from moments of deep hurt that convinced you it was safer to stay guarded. Your brain creates a story to explain why love feels unsafe, and that story becomes your reality. But here's the truth. That story is not the truth. It's just a pattern, a set of beliefs you've been reinforcing over and over again. And the good news? You have the power to rewrite it. Rewriting your story doesn't mean ignoring your past or pretending your fears don't exist. It means recognizing you are not bound by them. It means choosing to see yourself in a new way, to challenge the thoughts that have kept you stuck, to replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones. If you tell yourself every day that love is hard, that relationships never last, that you're not built for commitment, what do you think will happen? You will look for evidence to confirm those beliefs. You will unconsciously act in ways that make them true. But if you start telling yourself a new story, if you start affirming that love is possible, that you are capable of connection, that you are worthy of a healthy relationship, everything starts to shift. One of the most powerful ways to do this is by catching yourself in the moment. When you feel the urge to pull away, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? When you hear yourself thinking, I knew this wouldn't last, challenge that thought. Is that really true, or is that just an old belief talking? When you want to run, pause and remind yourself, I am safe, I can stay. I can choose love instead of fear. The more you do this, the more you weaken the old story and strengthen the new one. Another way to rewrite your story is through daily affirmations and visualization. Your brain believes what you repeatedly tell it, so start feeding it a new narrative. Every morning, tell yourself, I am capable of deep love. I am safe in relationships. I attract healthy, fulfilling connections. Picture yourself in a relationship where you feel secure, open, and connected. Visualize yourself staying present instead of shutting down, communicating instead of withdrawing, choosing love instead of fear. It may feel unnatural at first, but over time your brain will start to believe it. It's also crucial to surround yourself with evidence that supports your new story. Look for examples of healthy relationships. Study people who have overcome their avoidant tendencies and built strong, loving partnerships. Read books, listen to podcasts, seek mentors. Fill your mind with proof that love is possible, because the more evidence you gather, the easier it becomes to believe in your new story. This isn't about forcing yourself to be different overnight. It's about making a conscious choice every day to think differently, to act differently, to see yourself differently. It's about recognizing that you are not your past. You are not your fears. You are not your old patterns. You are someone who is capable of rewriting your love story. And when you do, love will start showing up in your life in ways you never imagined possible. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces in shaping your experience of love. Most people think love is about finding the right person, the perfect relationship, or a situation that finally feels effortless. But love isn't something you passively receive. It's something you create, something you nurture, something you choose to see. And one of the fastest ways to shift your experience of love is to start appreciating it in all its forms, exactly as it is, every single day. The reason avoidant patterns thrive is that the mind tends to focus on what's missing rather than what's present. If you've ever caught yourself thinking this relationship isn't enough, or I'm not feeling what I should be feeling, or what if there's something better out there, those thoughts are coming from a place of lack. They create distance. They make love feel like a constant evaluation instead of a living, breathing experience. And the more you focus on what's missing, the less you can feel what's already there. Gratitude flips that script. Instead of focusing on what love isn't giving you, you start seeing what it is. Instead of obsessing over what your partner doesn't do, you start noticing all the things they do. Instead of feeling like you need to protect yourself from love, you start realizing how much love is already present in your life, if you're willing to see it. And when you shift into gratitude, love stops feeling like a risk and starts feeling like a gift. The key is to practice gratitude daily, even in the smallest ways. Every morning, take a moment to appreciate something about your partner, your relationship, or even love in general. Maybe it's the way they remember your favorite coffee order. Maybe it's the fact that they listen even when you don't always have the words. Maybe it's the simple fact that you get to experience love at all, even with its ups and downs. The more you do this, the more your mind will start naturally noticing what's good, what's working, what's already enough. Gratitude also helps you stay present. One of the biggest struggles for avoidant individuals is that they're always thinking about the future, wondering if they're in the right relationship, if things will last, if they'll eventually feel trapped. But love isn't lived in the future. Love exists in the present. And when you practice gratitude, you anchor yourself in what's happening now. You stop overanalyzing and start experiencing. You stop worrying about whether this love will last forever and start appreciating that it exists right now. It also shifts the way you interact in your relationships. When you focus on what's lacking, you become more distant, more withdrawn, less engaged. But when you focus on gratitude, you show up differently. You smile more, you communicate more, you soften, you lean in. And when you bring that energy into a relationship, love grows. Gratitude makes love feel safer because it reminds you that love is already here. It's not something you have to chase, control, or protect yourself from. For those who struggle with emotional vulnerability, gratitude is also a powerful bridge. If saying I love you feels overwhelming, start with I appreciate you. If opening up feels like too much, start with recognizing something good. If commitment feels suffocating, start by simply acknowledging how lucky you are to share moments with someone. Gratitude makes love more approachable because it shifts the focus from fear to appreciation. Most people wait to feel grateful until things are perfect, but that's not how it works. Gratitude isn't about waiting for love to be ideal. It's about seeing the beauty in love as it is, even in its imperfections. The moment you start practicing gratitude every day, your relationship with love begins to transform. You stop resisting love and start receiving it. You stop running from it and start leaning into it. You realize that love isn't something that's missing. It's something that's been here all along, just waiting for you to see it. Love isn't something you wait to receive, it's something you give. Most people approach relationships with a mindset of what can I get instead of what can I give. They wait for their partner to show love first before they reciprocate. They withhold affection until they feel secure. They measure love like a transaction, making sure they're not giving more than they're receiving. But love doesn't work that way. The more you hold back, the more disconnected you become. The more you wait for love to come to you, the more distant it feels. If you want to experience deep, fulfilling love, you have to be the one who loves first. This doesn't mean overextending yourself or giving to the point of exhaustion. It means shifting your mindset from what if I don't get love back to how can I show love today? It means realizing that love isn't about keeping score. It's about connection. When you focus on what you can give rather than what you can get, love starts to feel abundant instead of scarce. You stop seeing it as something to chase and start experiencing it as something that flows naturally from you. Avoidant tendencies often stem from the fear of being vulnerable. Giving love first feels risky because it means putting yourself out there without a guarantee. But love is always a risk. There's no certainty, no perfect moment, no absolute safety net. The only way to truly experience love is to be willing to give it freely, without conditions, without needing immediate reassurance. And the irony, the more you give love, the more it comes back to you, often in ways you never expected. Start small. Show love in ways that feel natural to you. Maybe it's a kind word, a thoughtful gesture, a moment of presence. Maybe it's expressing appreciation without expecting anything in return. Maybe it's being patient when your instinct is to pull away. Maybe it's simply choosing to stay when your mind is telling you to run. Love isn't about grand gestures. It's about consistency. It's about showing up in the little moments over and over again. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is realizing that love is a choice, not just a feeling. Feelings fluctuate. Some days love feels effortless, other days it feels distant. But commitment to love is what keeps it alive. If you only give love when you feel like it, your relationships will always be unstable. But if you choose to give love consistently, even when it's uncomfortable, you create something that lasts. This is especially important for people with avoidant tendencies who often believe that love should be effortless, that it should feel right all the time, that if they have doubts or discomfort, something must be wrong. But real love isn't about constant ease. It's about choosing to stay engaged even when your fears arise. It's about recognizing that discomfort doesn't mean something is broken. It just means you're growing. Giving love first also helps rewire your brain. When you focus on giving, you shift from fear to abundance. You stop seeing love as something that might be taken away and start seeing it as something you have control over. You start to trust that love is always available to you, not because someone else is giving it, but because you are creating it. At the end of the day, love isn't something you passively receive, it's something you actively participate in. The more you give, the more you feel connected, the more you show love, the more love you experience. It's not about waiting for the right person or the perfect conditions. It's about deciding every single day to be the person who chooses love first. Fear thrives in isolation. When you avoid deep emotional connections, when you retreat into yourself, when you refuse to share your struggles, your fears grow louder. They take over your thoughts, making love feel dangerous, uncertain, or suffocating. But the moment you allow yourself to be seen, the moment you share your fears instead of running from them, they lose their power. Because love isn't just about joy and passion. It's about support, understanding, and being able to show up as your full, imperfect self without fear of rejection. Most people with avoidant tendencies believe they must handle their emotions alone. They've learned that vulnerability is a weakness, that depending on others makes them powerless, that if they let someone in too deeply, they will be hurt. So they suppress, detach, and convince themselves that no one will truly understand them. But this belief is what keeps them stuck in cycles of distance and disconnection. The truth is, love doesn't thrive in isolation. Love grows when you let yourself be known. One of the most powerful things you can do to overcome avoidant patterns is to start communicating your fears instead of acting on them. If you feel the urge to withdraw, say it out loud. I feel myself pulling away and I don't know why. If you're afraid of getting too close, express it. Sometimes intimacy makes me uncomfortable and I don't fully understand it yet. If you feel anxious about commitment, share it. I struggle with long-term relationships, but I want to work through it. Saying these things doesn't make you weak, it makes you stronger. It turns fear into conversation instead of isolation. It invites connection instead of distance. And most importantly, it allows your partner to understand what's happening instead of assuming you don't care. Avoidant tendencies don't disappear overnight, but they weaken every time you choose to open up instead of shut down. The first few times it may feel unnatural, it may feel like exposing yourself in a way you're not used to, but the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. You start to realize that sharing your fears doesn't push love away, it invites it in. It allows someone to see the real you, not just the version you present when you feel in control. The key is to surround yourself with people who can hold space for your emotions. Not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay, but find those who do. Find people who listen without judgment, who don't pressure you to change overnight, who make space for your process. Could be a partner, a friend, a therapist, or a mentor. The more you practice opening up in safe spaces, the easier it becomes to bring that same openness into your romantic relationships. Another important shift is realizing that fear doesn't mean something is wrong. Most avoidant individuals interpret discomfort in love as a sign to leave. They believe that if they were in the right relationship, they wouldn't feel anxious or uncertain. But that's a lie. Every relationship brings moments of discomfort, moments of self-doubt, moments where fears resurface. The difference is whether you let those fears control you or whether you use them as opportunities for growth. Love isn't about eliminating fear, it's about learning to coexist with it. It's about choosing connection over avoidance, even when it feels unfamiliar. It's about recognizing that the deepest relationships aren't the ones that never trigger fear, but the ones that teach you how to move through it. Because when you share your fears instead of acting on them, when you open up instead of shutting down, you don't just transform your relationships, you transform yourself. Love isn't something that just happens to you. It's something you create, something you nurture, something you choose every single day. If you've struggled with avoidant patterns, if you felt disconnected, if love has always seemed just out of reach, know this: you have the power to change your experience of love. It starts with small, intentional actions, expressing yourself, rewriting your story, practicing gratitude, giving love freely, and sharing your fears instead of running from them. These aren't just abstract ideas, they are daily choices that will rewire the way you experience relationships. Love is not about eliminating fear. It's about choosing connection despite it. It's about leaning in instead of pulling away, seeing abundance instead of lack, recognizing that true love isn't about never feeling doubt, It's about moving through it with courage, because the more you show up for love, the more love will show up for you. So make the choice, starting today. Do the work even when it's uncomfortable. Give before you expect to receive. Speak even when silence feels safer. Love, not because you have guarantees, but because love itself is the greatest reward. When you do this every day, love will stop feeling like something to fear and start feeling like something to embrace. Thank you for showing up today, for being open to change, for being willing to challenge old patterns and create something new. Growth isn't easy, but every step forward, no matter how small, makes a difference. You are capable of deep love. You are worthy of connection. You have everything inside you to experience the kind of relationships you desire. I appreciate your time, your energy, and most of all, your commitment to yourself. Because the work you do in love isn't just for your relationships, it's for you. It's about stepping into the fullest, most open-hearted version of yourself. And that is the greatest gift you can give both to yourself and to those who love you. Thank you. Now go out there and love boldly.